So, I wanted to do a short breakout session on politically correct research. Um, this is Dr. Goodin, and we're doing the Driven to Doctorate um, series. And this one's sort of dicey. It's sensitive. It can be. It can easily be sensitive. Two of the biggest sensitive issues are politics and religion. Um, and generally, I would put the sort of social justice in the political category, although it could easily be in the religious category as sort of a moral or ethical sort of stance. And so I wrote some words to share um, about this. I said, what is politically correct for your in terms of research? Let's think about how to be a researcher and to still be politically correct. And in short, you can do both, but one does not necessitate the other. And what I mean by that is being politically correct or woke or a social justice warrior of sorts, or even just supporting different causes or beliefs or values, should largely be separated from, and this is my opinion, unless you're doing sociological research or research with maybe one of the critical race theory, something like that, that is more agenda driven, maybe a feminist theory. But generally, we want to know that whatever research you're producing is based on fact. I think one of the most frustrating things, although it feels good if we hear a news anchor say what we agree with, that's awesome. Except when it's not, or when it's not factual. Um, and I think especially there should be something, pardon the word, holy, sacred about research, such that to the best of our human abilities, we keep subjectivity outside of our research. We avoid showing our own bias. We provide multiple viewpoints, and we do not use the narratives of our society, socio-political messaging, as fact. Well, that doesn't mean we can't be respectful, especially in a lot of our wordings, using the most up-to-date words for Caucasian, Black, African American, people of color, LGBT or LGBTQ or LGBTQA+, for instance. You want to be up to date. I find a common rule is to use the census, sort of as a, well, I did what the government did. Of course, that could be suspect as well. What is politically correct is not necessarily science-based. Maybe not yet. So we must separate the two unless the politically correct messages are supported by multiple and varied research studies, scholarly, peer-reviewed studies. As researchers, we must not extend or support the narrative of the day or the year or this century without evidence. And by that I mean scholarly, peer-reviewed evidence. Even if we know it's right or that it is our lived experience. Just as we want our research understood and believable to all types of people, from all different backgrounds, from all different persuasions of understanding the science. Sometimes we're researching sensitive topics, and when we do so, we must do so in a way that it appears that we have sought fervently to be objective. And that means that we must minimize all subjective messaging and wording. Scientific research is built on multiple studies over time rather than marches, legislation, social justice, personal anecdotes. And it's so difficult to tell the difference these days, so to speak, as our news and media and thought leaders perpetuate ideas as if they are facts, when in many cases, although they may end up being proven as true, they have not yet been scientifically proven. And so we must be cautious as researchers to guard our own integrity and character, the respect that we want for our research, by not including subjective viewpoints, wording, and messages. While personal actions, our own lives, can be aligned with what is politically correct, and our subjective feelings and values, our religion, our political party, our the way that we fervently believe is the right way to live. We must not conflate social and political messaging with fact that we would include in scholarship. My study, for instance, my dissertation was on the Affordable Care Act. A very volatile topic. And I'll leave you with this. It was called Obamacare by many that didn't like it. President Obama took that opportunity to sort of lean into that and sort of called it his own and said, I like calling it Obamacare. So my dissertation was not a political piece, and it was not meant to be political. It was meant to measure perceptions by medical students of the Affordable Care Act as it was implementing change during their studies, planning to be a certain type of, to have a career in this, and then things are changing. So how does that affect you? Now, not only do I want to collect data in an unbiased way that does not lead them to say, oh, well, the Affordable Care Act is bad, or it's good, or anything. I must be non-face valid. I must hide. Well, face validity is more what you're wanting to understand. But I must also hide any personal feelings I might have about the study. Thankfully, I had, I believe, 5 people on my committee, many of whom had differing views from myself politically. I never really told them how I felt. I'll share now. I think the Affordable Care Act had a lot of good intentions and a lot of good ideas. It was pushed through really quickly, and there were some deals that President Obama had to make with insurance companies that really detracted from the law's ability to be effective. There were some definite missteps. That doesn't mean the law is bad. The law had some good things and some bad things. But you don't want to show your politics or your religion or anything very subjective when you're doing a study. Not only because it will affect the data that you collect, but also you want your readers to be able to see and respect your attention to objectivity in your research, so that when they look at your findings, they can trust them. Ultimately, you want your research to be trustworthy. You want to remove your own biases or evidence of it. But many times we don't realize that we have sort of made some assumptions or written something in a way that sort of signals a bias. And so you'll want to ask your chair and your committee to help you, to point out to you when you're showing a particular viewpoint that may be more subjective or more socially true, more of a PC thing, when it may not yet be scientifically proven. So stick to the science. Stick to what has evidence behind it in terms of scholarship and multiple studies that suggest something. And be cautious about showing any type of sort of preferential treatment toward one viewpoint that might show a political bias or otherwise a value that you have that might skew the perception of your data. Again, you're wanting respect for the findings of your study. You want your findings to be objective and clear. You want people to be able to believe them without saying, oh, this came from MSNBC or this came from Fox News, so I don't know if I can trust it. You want to do everything to assure that the findings that you present are readable and interesting and can be trusted by any audience. So I hope that helps. Thank you.